Something about you I can't make it.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking lenses. The reason why I'm creating this video for you guys, because I'm coming up to my 3-year anniversary on Instagram for rebeccaspencerphotography. Can't believe it's been 3 years, that's absolutely crazy. It got me thinking because I was looking through my feed, like all my old photos, and honestly, my style has changed so much. I'm just going to show you a little summary here. Honestly, like the difference. As you can tell, like my old photography is very white, very plain backgrounds, blurriness, and like just the blogger or influencer that I'm shooting. Where now it's very like, there's lots going on, it's a bit more storytelling, and there's a lot more in focus. And the reason because of that is because I ditched the Canon 50mm 1.4 lens. Ditching this lens for street style was the best thing I ever did, because really now when I shoot on the 24-70 Canon 2.8, this is now my style and this is what I'm passionate about. I've been obviously shooting on Instagram for the last 3 years, solely for Instagram imagery, and when I first started out I was shooting on the 50mm lens. The reason why I used the 50mm 1.4 and I used the 1.8 is because it was a trend at the time, in the sense that everyone loved blurry backgrounds. When I used to shoot for clients, like, I really want blurry backgrounds, I really want blurry backgrounds, and I was like, okay, so this is obviously a thing. And also it was like probably the cheapest lens on the market at the time. So you can get the Canon 1.8 I think for around £100, and then this one I think was about 300, maybe a bit less. So there was a big, like, that is a really cheap lens compared to the one I've got now. So when you're first starting out, like, it's a great lens to have, mainly because it's the cheapest lens on the market, it's lightweight, it was everything I needed at that time. Photography's definitely changed since then, I'd say, in the blogging industry, but in that time that was the best lens to use. When I'd speak to clients and I'd speak to them about what sort of photos they were after depth of field, which was blurry backgrounds, and that lens definitely performed that kind of imagery. And the in thing was definitely shooting around South Kensington, which is the white houses in Chelsea areas. And that's kind of what started my career, sitting on strangers' doorsteps. But so that was the thing, and that's what got me started, and I was in love with photography and I was shooting on that all the time, and I loved the images, definitely, I really did. But for me, ditching it was the best thing I ever did, and I really want to come here and talk to you guys about it and tell you why I've ditched it, especially in this day and age of Instagram where you're shooting for influencers who want like an OOTD kind of Instagram shot where everything is kind of in focus and it's about the outfit. It's about the outfit, but it's also about the girl who's wearing it and like the story behind it. And I think that's really important in Instagram these days. But with the 50mm, like, you're just blurring everything out. You could be in the most beautiful place in the world and then you're just blurring it. And like, it was also another thing with shooting on that is it's really hard to get everything in focus. I just feel like it's just not very engaging content, especially on Instagram and for street style photography. For portraits, yes, 100% I would recommend the 50mm, and I probably will still use the 50mm for stuff like that because I am getting more into that kind of photography. But for street style, I would never ever pick up the 50mm ever again, and it's just so crazy because that's how I started and how I fell in love with photography. I'm also just going to throw up some like more images that I've taken on the 50mm 1.4, and it's great. Like, they're really, I loved these images. Like, at the time they were like the so in thing. It just shows you how like things are changing around Instagram, and like I feel like if I was to upload a picture like that to my Instagram, it would completely flop because there's nothing engaging about the post. There's no story, there's no realness to it. And I started taking loads of photos on the iPhone, and I was feeling that these images were, one, engaging better on Instagram, and two, like, I was loving them more because there's more to it, it's more storytelling. It felt like the everyday girl could take that kind of photo, but it was just more engaging content. And I felt like mine were looking too professional on Instagram, that people couldn't relate to it as much. So if I'm like scrolling through an Instagram feed and I see a photo taken on an iPhone, I think I'm more likely to like that photo than I am a professional camera with a blurry background, because there's nothing in that image that's engaging and relatable, because it's just a girl standing there with a blurry background. Where if you take it on an iPhone, you're getting everything in there. So I was thinking, what can I do to make my images, how can I fall in love with my images again? So that's when then I moved to the 35mm. It was actually the Sigma art lens. I loved that lens. It really was a game changer. The quality of that lens was amazing. So I'm just going to throw in some pictures now which I took actually on the 35mm, which was on the Sigma art lens. That lens changed everything for me. It really made me realise that I wanted more in my framing. I wanted it to be more storytelling. I wanted it to be more engaging content. And I really noticed a shift in my style, and that's when I really started to understand what my style as a photographer and what I want to give my clients. So fell in love with 35mm, and then I was like, I want to go wider. And that's when I fell in love with the 24-70 2.8. Oh, 24-70 2.8. This lens for me is everything, because I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can have that blurry effect if I really want it, but I don't use that anymore. And I can have everything in focus, and I never shoot anything lower than 2.8. That's the lowest my lens actually goes. I get to feel like it has been in a way taken on an iPhone. I mean, you're not going to get that with a professional camera, but I definitely prefer the whole look of it, where it can have everything in the image kind of telling a story in some sense. I'm going to throw in some images that I've taken recently on the 24-70, and the difference for me from looking back, or where I took photos back, I think in 2016, I think it was 2016, the difference for me is crazy, and I think it is to do obviously with timing and everything. And I really would recommend the 50mm. I'm not ditching it completely. I would definitely use it for portraits. It's a great lens for when you're first starting out, and it's taught me so much as well, because it is hard to get things in focus when you're shooting at 1.4, and I feel like there was also pressure when I first started to shoot at 1.4, and I have no idea why. It was just a thing that I had this anxiety that I had to shoot on the 1.4, and that's really hard to get a full outfit of someone, and I'm very all about the movement, so that's really hard to get that in focus, FYI. But I'm definitely going to be ditching the 50mm from now on for street style, and especially when I look back at my journey and see the process of where I've got to, the 50mm just isn't for me anymore. It might be for certain people, and people might argue that they love that lens. I love it as well, but just not for street style. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to come on and kind of discuss that with you guys, as it's coming up to my kind of 3 years anniversary, like looking back at my Instagram page. So guys, that's the end of today's YouTube video. I really wanted to discuss that with you and kind of explain to you different kind of lenses and how a lens can actually affect your style of photography. And also, if you're not enjoying the photos you're taking, maybe it is the lens. Maybe you need to change up your lens. So please subscribe for more photography videos, and I'll see you all in my next video.